Hello, everyone. Welcome. Thank you for coming. We're glad to see you today. We're looking forward to a wonderful virtual journey to New Zealand and learning experience with Matthew Suttor. I'm going to give everybody a chance to get situated in our Zoom room, get yourself hooked into your sound. And once you do that, if you would so kindly introduce yourself in the chat, we would greatly appreciate knowing a little bit about you. Why did you come today? What are you hoping to learn? Where are you from? What's your Yale affiliation? Any and all of those comments would be welcome in the chat. Please do introduce yourself in the chat. That is a wonderful way for our professor to get to know you. And we save your chat comments and questions to share with Matthew Suttor, so he will be able to see any comments that you put in the chat, and he'll be able to see everyone who was here. So just shout out to Karen from Greenwich, who is interested in the travel program to New Zealand. And shout out to Annie from Arlington, YSD 1986. Oh, we've got so many great people. Hi to Betsy living in Hudson Valley, north of New York City. Betsy's going to New Zealand in January. Fantastic. Hi to Tom and Marilyn Herman from San Diego. Tom is Yale College class of 68, and they're flying to Auckland on Thursday. Oh, wow. You all are going to get some great tips for your travels to New Zealand. Keep your introductions going. We've got folks who are on their way to New Zealand, folks who are dreaming of going to New Zealand, like Kate, who's in California. Yale College 2000 looks like fantastic. And we've got folks who are heading to New Zealand at various points in the future. And hopefully some of you are going to consider traveling to New Zealand with Yale Alumni Academy. We are going to talk to you about the itinerary of our travel program, New Zealand Great Walks, taking place March 10th through 24th, and led by our very own Matthew Suttor, who is our presenter for today. And if you want to know more about that travel program, you can visit alumniacademy.yale.edu. You do not have to travel with us to learn about New Zealand. That's why we are offering you this free presentation today. And we also have a virtual tour on our website where you can learn more about New Zealand. So we are dedicated to serving the alumni community and providing resources for you, whether you travel on our travel programs or not. And with that being said, I want to introduce our speaker today, Matthew Suttor. This is our second time being together here on Zoom and giving a presentation to you all. And I will link in the chat a little bit later, a link to Matthew's prior presentation that he did with us several years ago. Matthew Suttor is New Zealand born, composer and educator whose work spans opera, chamber music, sound installation, and interdisciplinary performance. He's been part of the Yale community since 1999, beginning in the Department of Music before serving many years as a professor in the practice of sound design at the David Geffen School of Drama. He now serves as program manager at the Center for Collaborative Arts and Media, which is also called CCAM, and he's a senior lecturer in theater, dance, and performance studies. Throughout his career, Suttor has blended acoustic tradition with emerging technologies, creating operas, dance, and theater scores, sacred music, sound installation, and works for film and television. His compositions and collaborations have been presented by major institutions across the Americas, Europe, and Australasia, including Lincoln Center, the Guggenheim, the New Zealand Festival of the Arts, PBS, the Yale Rep, and many others. Matthew is a dedicated teacher, mentor, and collaborator, committed to fostering innovative and interdisciplinary approaches to the arts. His recent projects explore how music can be derived from patterns in nature, how artificial intelligence can serve as a creative partner, and how creativity itself can be taught. He is a Fulbright scholar and holds a doctorate in composition for Columbia University. You can see why Matthew, who's a native to New Zealand, is an excellent choice to lead this travel program to New Zealand. For those who are not traveling with us, you're going to get a taste of what it would be like to travel with Matthew, and you're going to get some great personal stories and insights into the country, as only a native can give us. And with that, I'm going to turn it over to you, Matthew, to start your presentation.
Thank you, Lauren, for your generous introduction. And it's great to be back. This is my second presentation to the Yale Alumni Academy. So, good afternoon to you all. As a matter of disclosure, it's good evening for me. I am in Cape Town, South Africa, where I have just presented at a conference talking about my opera, I'm volunteering, and also Resounding Nature, which is the planetary solutions grant project that I am leading currently. So let's just throw ourselves right into the presentation that I prepared for you. And the first thing that I have to say is that I think this is remarkably well designed. When I saw the itinerary, my jaw dropped because it really does cover the greatest hits and also gives this extraordinary journey through the country, which, as you all come to understand, is unique culturally and geographically, and it is a stunningly a beautiful place. And this is a for me, even though I've been to many of these places. This is a trip of a lifetime, I think, and I'm very grateful and excited to be sharing. So we start with kia ora. Kia ora is Māori for welcome, and this is something that everyone will say pretty often. You'll hear this fairly regularly when people answer the phone, and also when they see each other. So we will be talking through some of the Māori phrases and terminology that you will encounter. And in New Zealand, place names will have many place names are only in Māori, and then others will have dual names, including the country. So you've seen this backdrop, I think, from the website. So I think it's important, and I've made some effort to include lots of wonderful photographs and so that you can see where we're on our way to. So this at the top left, this is Queenstown with the Lake Wakatipu and the remarkable, framed by the remarkables. This is a scene so often shown representing New Zealand. Then we have Auckland City. Auckland is the largest city by considerable amount, and you can see the Sky City Tower in the middle. It's a casino and a hotel. Another shot of the township of Queenstown, and then the famous Milford Sound. And the Milford track beyond that. And then this photo here is of the Canterbury Plains. This is in the South Island. And this is the beginning of the Southern Alps. All right. So the tour starts in Auckland. As you can see, Auckland is interestingly positioned between two harbors, the Hauraki Gulf and the Mangere Harbor on the other side. And then we'll drive through. I was born in Auckland, and uh, and then but grew up in Hamilton, which is an hour south. So we're going to drive through that. This is through the Waikato, through to Rotorua, fly through to Christchurch, and then to Lake Tekapo, then down to Queensland to the Fiordland National Park, where there are these major treks. And so one note here is that it starts in a sort of rather graceful way, and then at the end there is a fair amount of walking, so you will have to pace yourself. So New Zealand, or Aotearoa, is well, the name Aotearoa is actually technically the name for the North Island. So New Zealand is has two main islands, the North and the South, because it's in the southern hemisphere. The North is the warmer, and the South is the more temperate. And the name for technically the name for the North Island is actually Aotearoa, but it has become the name for the country, and it means the land of the long white clouds. So when the Maori voyaging canoes came down from through the Pacific from Hawaii. They saw this remarkable land with this long strip of cloud, and often in New Zealand you will experience 4 seasons in one day, but it's also a glory when you're in these natural wonders to experience different weather brings the place alive in a wonderful way. So geographically, New Zealand is quite isolated, sits alone in the South Pacific, and it's quite a flight. It's going to take 3 calendar days to get there. It has a unique flora and fauna. There are no natural mammals except for two species of native bat. The rest of the animal life, as it were, is insects and a remarkable array of extraordinary birds. And they're known for often for their lack of ability. Many of them are flightless. Interestingly, there's the kiwi and the now very extinct moa and the kakapo, which is actually a flightless owl. And then insect life, of course, and there's some rather remarkable insects that we might come across, including the weta, which is a giant grasshopper. So the Maori people arrived through ocean-going waka. Waka is an ocean-going canoe. Waka culture has recently been rejuvenated. So this is the building of these extraordinary vessels and the navigating by stars. And through the Pacific, there's quite a kinship between people in Hawaii and New Zealand, sort of resurrecting this art and craft of ocean-going canoes. So they arrived 700 to 800 years ago, becoming the tangata whenua. So this is the people of the land. So that's a phrase that you may hear. And the Maori people are is a tribal society. The larger groups are called iwi. Iwi can just mean people, but technically it does mean the tribal groups. And then hapu are the sub-tribes, and there are around 100 tribes. The Europeans arrived 17th century, or Abel Tasman didn't actually land. He sighted New Zealand and then went on to Australia, but later Cook arrived later in the 18th century, and then from then it was populated and colonialism began. So something that we will probably encounter, and I will be talking about, is the Treaty of Waitangi, which was a treaty, a land and sea treaty that was signed between the Māori people and the British Crown that took quite some time to be truly ratified. So there were land wars in the 1860s, and then it wasn't until later in the 20th century that it was truly honored. So this is a remarkable thing where lands and fisheries and forests went back to the tribal groups, and are now managed by iwi. So this is something that is, it's contentious. It's part of our difficult history, but there's something also to be proud of that it was finally acknowledged and honored. So it's New Zealand is, to give you an idea, it is the size a little larger than Great Britain, and it is pretty much exactly the same size as Colorado. And actually has a roughly the same size population as Colorado, but there are only 5 million people. Quite a number actually live in Australia. So Australia and New Zealand have this somewhat kind of mini EU arrangement where citizens from either country can live without without a visa and live and work. So there are a lot, probably around 7 to 800,000 New Zealanders living in Australia. So it's a diverse population, so roughly nearly 70% Pakeha. So Pakeha is the Māori term for people of European origin. And then Māori, and there are around a million Māori people. This is the largest Polynesian population in the world, and the term that we use is Pacifica people. But there's also a very large Asian population. After Hong Kong went back to mainland China, there are quite a number of Hong Kong Chinese came through. Historically, there's always been a relationship with Singapore. So Singapore has been a strategic place for New Zealand. And then also interestingly through Fiji, there's a large South Asian population in Fiji from India historically, and then there's a number of South Asian people of South Asian heritage who have come from India through Fiji through to New Zealand. So yeah, ethnically quite diverse, and this is reflected in the arts and food and music. So it's quite an extraordinary place in terms of diversity. So we're still attached to Britain. King Charles III is our head of state. We have a prime minister, and the government is seated in Wellington, which is at the bottom of the North Island. So fun fact, and I have a number of these peppered throughout the talk. In New Zealand, you're only ever 80 miles away from the sea. So it truly is an island, and it's a country that is really quite obsessed with seacraft. And so Auckland, for example, is known as the city of sails, as we will get to in a moment. So here's a photo of late 19th century Auckland. It has changed a little bit, in some ways, sort of not. And this is the bottom of Queen Street, and we'll be visiting that downtown wharf front area, which has been over the last couple of decades been actually quite radically transformed, certainly since I lived there as a student. Here we have this is a sort of example of the somewhat sort of difficult colonial past. We have here a Māori woman. This is a postcard with a stamp of George V. She is would have been of high birth. We can tell this because she's wearing huia feathers in her hair. Huia is now an extinct bird, but this was a sign of royalty. She also has a moko, the facial tattoo, and you will probably see some women with moko. This has come back as a form of cultural expression, and sometimes you may even see a full facial tattoo. Not as common, but this is something that people are investigating. She's wearing a flax dress. So this is a kind of a linen that is made from the flax leaf. This is a little ridiculous. This is a moa. Actually, there is a moa a skeleton in the Peabody. So it is somewhat a dinosaur. These were large, like a giant ostrich. They grew up to 12 feet tall. This is completely staged. This is a 19th century, late 19th century photo of a reconstructed Noah, but it's quite a famous one and sort of pops up. And so you can imagine. So it was estimated when the Māori arrived, there were up to, they think, around 1 million of these giant birds within the country, and they were extinct after 100 years. So you're not going to see a moa. So getting to New Zealand, and there may be some questions about flying there because it is a big journey. So the tour starts on the 10th, so that you would have to leave certainly the east coast of the US by the 8th. So you leave usually the flights Air New Zealand, Qantas, American, Emirates, all fly to New Zealand, and they tend to leave later in the evening. So you leave on the 8th. The 9th disappears into the ether as you cross the date line, and you would arrive at a somewhat rude hour on the 10th, usually somewhere between 5 and 6 a.m. So, pro tip, jet lag is a real thing. The trick, having spent a considerable amount of my time flying to New Zealand, is at one point when I was applying for a green card, I had to estimate how many the flight times the amount of time I'd spent in the air, and I'd estimate I'd spent over 2 months just flying airborne. So the pro tip is that you try as best you can to stay up that first day, because if you go to sleep after you arrive, you will hate yourself in a couple of hours. So the idea is to stay up, and then you'll probably only last as 7 or 8, maybe a little longer, but then you'll be out. So that's the tip. So Auckland is a beautiful city, not unlike Seattle, for want of a better description. And so this is, I think, one of the remarkable things about the way that the tour has been organized is that when you transverse through the country, you're traveling from north to south, essentially subtropical through to temperate through to alpine. So really a dramatic journey through different temperature zones and certainly landscapes. So Auckland, large cosmopolitan city. The Māori name is Tamaki. So there's a Tamaki means desired because the soil was so rich. So it was a desired place for gardens, essentially. So incredibly fertile. So the Māori built fortified pa. So there's a fortified villages, and we will be visiting the remnants of one on Mount Eden at some point during the first couple of days. Founded by as a colonial city or town in 1840, and it served as the capital, and then that eventually went to Wellington. Many people live in Auckland, so it's in the greater metropolitan area, which actually covers 3 cities: Manukau, Auckland, and then the North Shore is 1.7, 1.8 million people, and it's incredibly spread out because everybody lives in a house and no one lives in an apartment. It was really kind of a broad area. And the other interesting thing about it is that it's built on 53 volcanoes, extinct, I might add. As I mentioned, it's known as the city of sail, so there are more boats per capita than anywhere else in the world. And you'll certainly see this in the Waitemata Harbour when we arrive. So we've already seen that photo. Now, we are going somewhere really special, and my jaw dropped when I saw that this was included. So my family holidayed from the 70s through to the 90s, just a little north of Auckland, in the mouth of the Waiti River, which is where the Whangaroa Peninsula is. And off the coast of that is this remarkable island called Tiritiri Matangi. And Tiritiri Matangi, when I was a child, was a farm with a lighthouse. And the Māori translation is buffeted by the wind. And my father would take us out on the boat regularly to go fishing there, and we would sort of be hammered by the surf and the wind, and then may or may not, usually not, catch fish. So it's in the 80s, so towards the end of the time where we were holidaying there, the owners of the island uh, it gave it to the Department of Conservation to dock. And it was converted back from pasture land, replanted with native bush, and then all of the predators, the invasive species. As I remember, there are no native mammals in New Zealand, so everything is exotic. It was cleared of cats, rats, stoats, etc. And so it's truly predator free. So when you arrive there, we arrive by ferry, and there's a fairly elaborate system to make sure that, for example, rats can't climb off the boat. The bird life that has come back is completely unafraid of anything because there are no predators. So it is like a Garden of Eden. It is the most extraordinary thing. Birds will come right up to you and sing. Uh, so New Zealand birds are not necessarily vividly colorful. They have remarkable song. So everywhere we go, you'll hear the call of a tui, the wood pigeon, it's a bellbird. The sound is amazing. So it's the joke is that you often will hear the island before you actually see it. We as kids never did because we were in my father's boat hammering away through the surf, but it is the most extraordinary place. So I'm so happy that has been included. So again, this is the island. Well, you can just see the lighthouse, which is still operational. So then we're going to drive through the Waikato. So the Waikato is uh, the the heart of the dairy industry in New Zealand. Rolling hills. It's very lush, very green, and many of you probably will know it because it's Hobbiton. So this is Matamata, which is just outside of the town that I grew up, Hamilton. This is Hobbiton, which it became it was already the set. They didn't really need to do much except to put in the little houses. But this gives you an idea of the nature of the farmland. Very, very beautiful, very lush. So we're heading to Rotorua, uh, and through the Kaimai Range, which rings the Waikato plains, through to Rotorua, which is a highly active part of the Ring of Fire, which includes Japan, and this sort of rings the Pacific, basically. We're also going to visit the National Kiwi Hatchery. Now, fair warning, this is a very active volcanic area, and it's just to put it bluntly, it smells like rotten eggs. But as the locals in Rotorua say, it smells like money. So the sulfur scent from the geothermal vents is the thing that drives tourism and spa culture in Rotorua. So yeah, there's that. So I've already mentioned the geographical significance. The cultural significance is that this is a traditional cultural seat of the Māori, and we'll be visiting Ngāti Manawa. To the tribal area, will be welcomed onto the marae there. So the marae, I'd shown you a photograph earlier of a meeting house. It's a long house. So the marae is the entire area. It is also the house, and you're invited onto the marae through a protocol called a pōwhiri, which is a welcome. Sometimes pōwhiri can mean a prayer, and we'll probably there'll be some short speech. Maybe they will sing. So actually, it would be wonderful if we have some strong singers, a cappella culture being strong at Yale, that we could respond in song. That would be culturally appropriate, and I would imagine welcomed. So that we would respond also in song. We'll have a hangi lunch. Hangi is a pit oven where stones are put in a dug pit. covered in embers, and then the food is put on top and covered back in earth, and so it steams. So this is a traditional way of cooking, and then we'll also visit Tapu geothermal area, which includes some really remarkable uh, geothermal sites. So this is the famous Champagne pool. Here's a little detail of the corner of a marae, and you can see the rich culture carving culture that's still very, very active. The shell is abalone, or paua shell, which is a delicacy, a seafood delicacy. You will see this type of Māori carving as soon as you arrive in the airport. So there's a big archway that we all will walk through to international arrivals. So and you can also see the native bush there, the density of it. So there are no the indigenous, deciduous trees, of course, are exotic. So it's an evergreen forest. This is a cabbage tree. And you can see the glimpse of red in the back. That's Pahutakawa. That's the so-called New Zealand Christmas tree, and then of course the ferns. This is a marae uh, from the Rotorua area. It's not the same tribe. This is the Ngāti Whakane tribe, but this is a late 19th century photo, I think around 1870, and you can see the carving and the low door there. This one does have a glass window, interestingly. Then from Rotorua, this is the other thing about the timing of this is great. So spring break is a perfect time to go to New Zealand. That's the equivalent of September. So students are back at school, and the weather is still really great. And it's my birthday. So March 16th, I will be celebrating my 59th birthday with you all. So just, I have no shame, but this is part of the reason why this is an important trip for me, and it's a time when I go every year at this time anyway. So it's and the weather is usually spectacular at this point. So we're flying to Christchurch. So we're going from a very Māori city to arguably through to what has been at least historically the most English of New Zealand cities. So this is the largest city in the South Island, Christchurch. So Christchurch was truly shaken in 2011 by a series of major earthquakes. There's been a lot of rebuilding, and it's also been a chance for people to sort of rethink what Christchurch is all about. So there's been sort of a rediscovery of other cultures that are present there as well. The fun fact is that there was a wizard that was employed for 16 years by the city council, and he was a cultural fixture in performing in Cathedral Square. So I very much remember him, and he's sort of he's still alive, but no longer in the employ of the city. Christchurch, known as the Garden City, very English. So this is the Avon. So this and also the botanical gardens that we will be visiting. So that is all great. So New Zealanders take gardens very seriously. The people's front gardens are often fairly substantial, and it will remind you perhaps a little bit of, say, Washington State, and I mentioned Seattle. When I'm in Seattle, it seems with the wooden Victorian houses and often there are fairly substantial gardens, and the climate allows for this too, which is really great. Then we're off to Lake Tekapo, which is in the Mackenzie Basin. So we're beginning to get into the Southern Alps, where I spend a fair amount of time skiing around Mount Hutt and Craigieburn and other places. And we'll also be visiting the Church of the Good Shepherd. Because pretty much actually throughout New Zealand, the night sky is incredibly vivid. So when you're away from city lights, for example, it's the partly because there's less pollution there, and also just simply because of the positioning of the planet. The night sky is really something to behold. So Lake Tekapo, which is famous for its intense turquoise color, which comes from this rock flour of fine glacial silt suspended in the water, and it gives it this famous blue-green look. So wonderful vista there, the Mackenzie Basin, and this is the chapel and of the night sky. So this is part of this International Dark Sky Reserve. So this is an interesting thing there. Yeah, really quite something, isn't it? And then on to Mount Cook, Aoraki Mount Cook. Mount Cook is the tallest peak in New Zealand, so it's 12,000 plus meters. For those of you that ski, so the New Zealand is has a number of wonderful ski fields. There are no trees on New Zealand on the ski fields because they're all too high. And that's the remarkable thing is that you can be up on these enormous mountains skiing and you can see the sea. So it's a quite a extraordinary thing. Uh, so the Southern Alps sits in the heart of Te Wahi Ponomu. So Ponomu it means greenstone. So I wear a Ponomu, and many New Zealanders do. So this is this is jade, nephrite, and this belonged to my father. This is something that you might want to buy for someone or buy as a present. So you'll see this pretty much everywhere. So this is we're starting to get into the substantial walks that we'll be doing. So the Hooker Valley track is the first of them. So this is Mount Cook, really quite a spectacular mountain. As you can see that it's soaring above the cloud line. And here is the Hooker Valley track. So there in the information on the website, it's said to be prepared to be able to walk, say, up to 5 miles a day. I'm not sure that we'll be doing that certainly every day. Uh, the trails and the hikes are very well looked after. They all fall under the Department of Conservation and they're actively maintained. But this is a substantial commitment, and as you can see, sometimes they're going to be these walkways when you're walking over something that needs to be protected, like wetlands, etc. But otherwise, there are trails. So just going back to the first day at Mount Cook with the Hooker track. This is where Sir Edmund Hillary, of course, he was the first to climb Everest with his Sherpa companions. He trained here, so he was originally actually a beekeeper by trade, and then became this famous mountaineer and humanitarian. There is also an option here to take a ski plane to Tasman Glacier, and so I think this is to be determined. I think it's a little less than 400 US. There are also helicopters, obviously more expensive, but this is the New Zealand's longest glacier, Tasman glacier, and I believe that the planes actually land there as well. So really, this is a fairly moody photograph. Often it's vivid blue sky. So, but this I love this photograph nonetheless. Then through back to Lake Tekapo and the Gippsland Valley. This is the heart of the Pinot Noir region. So New Zealand, famous for Sauvignon Blanc, Martinborough in the North Island, and Marlborough at the top of the South Island, and then lower in the South Island, this kind of loamy, stony soil is particularly suited to Pinot Noir. So that's the only red really that New Zealand produces. Not quite different from, say, the big, bold, brassy Australian Shirazes, etc. This is quite a different climate. Uh, so we'll also be entering Queenstown. So Queenstown is uh, the premier alpine city destination in New Zealand. So it's a little bit similar to say Aspen, something like that. So it's pretty high end. And lots of great food, and it sits on the shores of Lake Wakatipu, and it's surrounded by the remarkable mountain chain, so which you can see, and there's this features in a lot of photographs. Interestingly, it also has a standing wave. So even though it's not a tidal lake, it does have this rhythmic rise and fall. And it's Queenstown is also the birthplace of these so-called so the adventure capital of New Zealand is where bungee jumping was invented, and there are a whole host of other spine-chilling adventures. Should you be enticed? So yeah, there's that. So here's a map, I think, to give you some idea of the connection. So this is in terms of these natural splendors, they're condensed right at the bottom here of the South Island. So we have Queenstown here on the shores of Lake Wakatipu. So it's this famous S-shaped bend, and then through to Te Anau, which is on Lake Te Anau, and this is the gateway to Fiordland. So this is this big area here of national forest that's with fjords and sounds penetrating it. Milford Sound and Milford Track are right at the top, and I think we're also going to be visiting Lake Mainapuri as well. So really extraordinary. These are all the top hits. It's amazing that we're able to kind of pack them all in. So Te Anau is a small town on this beautiful lake, and this is as I said, this is the gateway to the Fiordland National Park. And what else can we say? We will be doing a jet boat tour. So this is one of these fun adventure things. The jet boats are extremely fast, and just as a warning, the drivers. I took my nephews on one when I was back last year, and they love to sort of to fake people out as if they're going to hit the wall, and then they spin the boat. So it's incredibly fun. No one's hit a wall yet, so yes, but be prepared for a joyous ride. This is Te Anau. Really just a beautiful view. This is from the township itself. And then we're off to Milford Track, Milford Sound. So the other thing, there's one other aspect of this to be appreciated is that many of these walks you have to book. You can't, particularly if you want to enter the park and stay at Department of Conservation hut or cabin. So you have to book in advance, but this has all been done for us. So this is, I think, one of the remarkable opportunities is that you're able to see all of these major walks, which are destinations for people who love the outdoors and to love to walk. And these are they're also not the full multi-day versions that people will be doing and or can do. So these are day walks, and they're all manageable, and they're super well signposted, and the trails are really cared for. And also, there's a sort of philosophy, I think, and of not having too many people walk through to be able to protect them. So this is hence the having to book in advance. So certainly the Milford track is one like that. So uh, we'll be boating through the sound. Technically, it's actually a fjord, not a sound. That was carved by glaciers rather than river erosion. Small point, but interesting nonetheless. And you'll see waterfalls, seals, etc., bird life. There's a giant gate falls. There's a bridge that we can traverse across to look at that. So this is a beautiful experience and one of the premier outdoor adventures that New Zealand has to offer. So this is the sound. This is I'm sure many of you have seen photographs or similar to this. You can see that one of these ferries here going through the fjord through the sound, and then this is the track itself. So lush ferns and the tree ferns that New Zealand is so famous for. And then on to Rootburn. So Rootburn is one of the top walks, and it's not because necessarily it's the most strenuous, but has remarkable changing vistas. So this is why it's so popular. I've met many North Americans who have said, "Oh yes, I've done the Rootburn." So this actually divides the Fiordland with Mount Aspiring National Parks, very much temperate rainforest, and so again, listed as one of the world's best hikes for reasons that hopefully will be obvious from this photograph. Really, just the most spectacular thing. And then we're back to Queenstown, and it's a great food there, great dining, and another aspect of this is that the hotels that we're going to be staying at are all very centrally located and with a great spectacular view. So this is really a great thing. So again, Queenstown. And we can take uh, the gondola up to Bob's Peak, and then we're back to then on the 24th is the departure date. So it's quite the tour. Uh, so that's and then finally Harira, which is what one says. I would say to you as you are leaving New Zealand. So that is the end of my formal talk. Here we go. So questions.
All right, thank you, Matthew. That was like, I feel like I took the plane ride all the way there. And I saw it through your eyes, so that's really
Mm.
wonderful. Thank you, and thank you to everybody who joined us. We have time for questions and answers, so if you have
Mhm.
questions, please do put them in the Q&A box, and it's a lot easier to keep track of the questions in the Q&A box. So if you would do us that favor, we can make sure we get to everybody's questions. Before I go to the questions, I wanted to give a couple of shout outs from the introductions that we had at the beginning. So Ari Lee was one of your students, Matthew.
Yes, I saw that. Yes, yes.
Yes, that tuned in. And
Yeah.
I also wanted to shout out Jeff Schlichting, I hope I'm saying it correctly, who's currently living in New Zealand, and Brecken Armstrong, who's moving to New Zealand in
Oh, wow.
January. So the
Great.
two of you might want to connect in the chat. At least Brecken, you can get some tips from Jeff on moving to the country and living there. And then last but definitely not least, I wanted to shout out Chuck Kroloff, who's from the class of 1955, so maybe one of our longest running alumni participants. Chuck wants to know if he has any mates here. Anybody who's been around as long as Chuck has, feel free to shout us out in the present or in the chat. I'm also going to link to Matthew's presentation that he gave during our climate change conversation series. And so that you all can find that and watch another wonderful presentation if you would like by Matthew Suttor. And let's go to the questions. So there were quite a few questions about overcoming jet lag and whether
Mhm.
you should stay awake on the flight, as well as, yeah, I agree. Do you want to take that one on? Should you stay awake on
Ye-
the flight?
No, no, no. It's the best thing to do is just to get as much sleep as you possibly can. And the meal service is set up such that you'll have dinner when you get on. Then there's usually some kind of mid-flight snack, and then you have breakfast when you arrive. And this is usually just before you arrive. And again, most of the flights come in between 5 and 6. A couple of them are a little later. And then the trick is to stay awake as long as you possibly can uh, that first day, so that you get as much sleep that first night. And it's possible that you will wake up and I got to say that that actually for the most part I experience less jet lag going there than I do coming back. Coming back is a little bit more of a challenge. Some people say that melatonin works. That might be a placebo, but hey, if it works, if it works, it works. And so, and I guess the other thing is that to reset your body clock, being out in daylight and being out and about will actually help you. And again, the time of year, it's this right at the end of summer. It's like the equivalent of September in say East Coast of the US, and so that actually all helps, I think. Yeah, and we're going to be active, and that will help you readjust as well because you're going to get tired. Yeah.
I also always say the best way to deal with jet lag is to go early and give yourself a day or two
Hmm. Hmm.
and just to rest because
Hmm.
you will be on the time zone by day three at least, and
Hmm.
you will be able to maximize. It's such a long flight that
Yeah.
it's worth it to go 2 days early and just get yourself accustomed to the time zone
Yeah.
and be ready and energized for all of the wonderful things that you're going to see and do.
Hmm. Hmm.
We had some questions about what the weather is like in October, November. Is that also a good time to visit?
October, November. So yes, this is I have been in. So the ski season, for example, is July, August, and then it's starting to get a little bit warmer. November is not a bad time. I've been during the American Thanksgiving. Obviously, it's a shorter holiday, but it's sort of rainy, but it's temperate. Again, sort of think. say the northwest, that kind of temperate, somewhat kind of rainy weather. But it's not cold. It's certainly not in the North Island. Yeah.
Okay, and then we also had a question. Someone loves your slides and wants to know if you are up for making them available for download.
Oh, sure. Yeah. Yeah. So I took pains to make sure that all of the photographs are royalty free and royalty free. So we have a PDF, and you can, um, uh, yeah, you can send that on to people. Um,
We'll
yeah.
have the recording available for everyone to view on demand on the Yale
Mhm.
Alumni Academy website. It'll be linked into our page dedicated
Mhm.
to this travel program, as well as it will be linked from our New Zealand virtual tour, which I definitely encourage you to check out. And Khadijah, if you're here, if you don't mind putting the link for the virtual tour in the chat, that would be very helpful for everyone to see that. And then we had a couple of questions for, I'm just getting to all the sort of technical questions about the travel
Mhm.
program. So folks wanted to know about the walks,
Mhm.
whether
Yeah. Mhm.
what's the terrain like? What's the
Mhm.
elevation gain? Is
Yeah.
it mostly
Mhm.
flat? Is it pitched and steep in any places?
Yeah. So the Milford track is well, it's at sound level, so it's and that's fairly flat. So that when we say they're all described as tracks, but they are maintained. Sometimes there'll be a mixture of gravel, so metal gravel that's put in there to protect and sort of prevent so muddiness, etc. They're not wildly rocky. You're not climbing at all. So they are designed to be managed. They're strenuous, vigorous, vigorous walks, but you don't need crampons or anything like that. So they're all manageable by completely within in reason. I think probably the highest elevated uh, walk would be the hooker track. So that's the starting elevation, I think, is 780 meters. So that's relatively high, but it's not, and it's still relatively flat. You saw the photograph of that. So yeah, yeah. I mean, there are some, there are some climbs, but it's not none of them are outrageous, or it's something that someone of reasonable fitness can do. So, and across a range of ages. So that's New Zealand. It's a this is a walking culture. People love to do these walks. It's important, and often people will go later in life when they have the time to be able to do them.
Oh, great.
Yeah.
Well, some folks are curious about the Maori culture,
Hmm.
and uh, want to know what the line over the A indicates.
Yes.
Want
Yeah.
to know if you want to explore it as thoroughly as you can, what are
Hmm.
suggested locations?
Hmm. Hmm.
And I know that you will share with us reading recommendations for those
Hmm.
who sign up on the program. So we'll put those
Yeah.
reading recommendations on our virtual tour as well. The virtual tour is linked in the chat here. So if you're interested in exploring more, do check out the link to the virtual tour.
Right.
Okay,
Yeah.
pass to you for those questions.
So the line across the A is a macron. So the pronunciation of Maori, it was Maori, and it tends to be that you're going from consonant to consonant, and the vowels are somewhat similar to Japanese, and some people even say pure vowels like Italian. So they're not diphthongs. Yeah. Yeah. So, and there's online, if you Google for Maori pronunciation, there's a lot of videos that go through the pronunciation of common place names and terms. Yeah,
So
and you'll
I'm
hear, yeah.
sorry, go ahead.
Yeah. So you'll probably hear a fair amount of spoken Maori, but this is it's a beautiful language, particularly for ceremonial purposes. And I don't mean to that's not to diminish its value as an everyday language, but part of the Maori culture is this protocol where you when you meet people and you welcome them to your space, there's a protocol that we would go through, and this is something we will probably encounter a number of times. It's a beautiful thing, and it helps everyone feel grounded and welcome. Yeah. So, in terms of um, there is a pretty good online Maori dictionary, and just as a little note, often Maori might be referred to as te reo, which just means the language, because of course to them it was the language. And so again, I think there are quite a number of online resources. I think when we send out the reading list that I put together, which it covers major works of literature and then some other reading, I will include a number of websites that you can go to learn how to pronounce Māori. Yeah.
All right, well, I demonstrated how not to pronounce it. So there you go.
It's all good.
So and also, so if someone wants to learn about the Maori culture, what are
Mhm.
some of the places that they should visit? I know you highlighted some things
Yes.
on your
Um,
presentation.
Yeah, so there's, I think the website, which is the main travel website for New Zealand, which is 100% pure New Zealand. So this is the government national marketing campaign that's been around. I think many people will probably have seen this. It's certainly in print media and also online. That actually is a pretty good place to start, which covers some basic pronunciation, cultural concepts, and so I would start with that, which is it's newzealand.com basically. Put that
Wonderful. Thank you.
in the chat. Yeah.
While we're talking about pronunciations,
Mhm.
someone would like to know if you could say again more slowly the traditional jewelry from your father.
Oh, this is yes, Ponamu. And let me just find is a actually I saw a really great breakdown of um,
And while you're looking at that,
that's
someone
what I should
asked
here we go. There we go.
whether or not there's still space available on our travel program in March. And yes, there absolutely is still space available. You may note when you go to register that it says the final payment was due in November. That just means that if you register, your full payment would be due pretty much within 7 to 10 days of when you register. But there is absolutely space still available. Um, and June is asking if the start date is the 10th or the 12th. Yes, this is always very confusing when you're crossing time zones. It's sort of like you're time traveling when you go to a place like New Zealand. And yeah, so you actually you leave on the 10th. So the day of our program is the day that when we have dates for any of our Alumni Academy travel programs, the day of the first day of the program, as it's listed on our website, is the day you leave home.
Mhm.
So yeah, if you wanted to arrive on the 10th, you would need to leave on the 8th. But for our program, the 10th is assuming a departure from a major U.S. gateway.
Mm. Well,
Hope that.
the Namu part of Pounamu just is an actually an archaic Māori word for green. So hence. Yeah.
Ah,
So
okay.
you'll see fish hooks, fern fronds, adzes. This is a whale tail that my father wore, and so yeah, number of like a kind of mace. And sometimes you'll see them in bone as well. So traditionally, it's something that you buy for somebody else, and you can't. It's not it's not traditional to pierce it with metal. So this is a flex cord. Yeah, so it's there's some traditions around it, but you can certainly buy one for yourself. It's a beautiful thing. Oh, the wither. Yes. Uh, it depends. Um, so I think it whether it could be when we arrive in Auckland could be in the 70s, and as we get further south, it'll be into the 60s. Some might even get as low as the low 40s. So New Zealand, remember also that it is the land of the long white cloud. Rain showers, very common. And so be prepared to just to be warm when you're outside and dress in layers. You'll see New Zealanders every day of the year, always wearing shorts, but hiking boots, good hiking boots, good woolen socks, and so, you know, fleece. And sometimes a raincoat would be a great idea to invest in a waterproof raincoat. It is not super cold, but we have to take the weather seriously. You know, tragically, people every year succumb to hypothermia by not taking it seriously and going out and getting caught in weather. But we're in a group situation. You know, so it's managed, it's perfectly safe, but be prepared to, you know, be well dressed and dress in layers.
Gear is always important for these
Yeah.
kinds of travel
Yeah.
programs.
The other thing is that there is the rain and the cold. There's also the sun. And New Zealand, we were talking about the wonderful view of the Milky Way that you get and the stars. So the daytime sun can also be an issue. So having a hat, coming with sunscreen. And so the skin cancer is a great concern in New Zealand because of this. You know, the atmosphere is so clear. People really do need to protect themselves. So it goes both ways. And even though it might not seem that it's particularly hot, the sun can still burn.
Okay, Robert has asked if there's a Yale Club of New Zealand. I put the Yale Club of New Zealand link information in the chat for you, Robert. And I believe it's a different Robert asked, how easy is it to eat gluten-free in New Zealand? Do you know anything about, or can you say anything, Matthew, about the traditional foods that are commonly
Sure.
encountered in New Zealand?
It is a foodie culture, and New Zealanders take food very seriously. It is a cuisine that obviously has this British influence, but then also a Pacific influence. So certain root vegetables that are only found in New Zealand, the kumara, which actually you can buy it at Whole Foods now, which made my life actually because one of the things I missed is it looks like a sweet potato, but it has a white flesh. So New Zealanders take coffee very seriously. It's a thing, and obviously the wine. And yes, I have seen that cafes will often offer gluten-free options, certainly vegetarian options. Yes, it is the land of lamb chops, but seafood is plentiful and people will, restaurants and cafes will accommodate to a variety um, of diets for sure.
Well, and lamb chops are gluten-free generally, depending on the
True.
sauce that's put on them. That's a good
Mm,
news.
mm,
Um, Bet is asking about singles and couples, and someone else asked how many are likely to be in our group, how many people. So usually, um, a group like this would max out at about 25 people. And it's a mix of singles and couples and ages, generally sort of in the late 40s would be the young folks, late 40s to 50s. So Matthew, you would be in the young folks category too. And even though you're celebrating your birthday,
mhm,
and age ranges go up to, those people in their 80s who feel that they're fit and up for
mhm,
a travel program like this.
mhm,
There was a question from Lisa that I think could be interesting. Lisa wanted to know if you could comment on any connection between the native Hawaiian culture and the Maori culture, including customs and language. Are
mm,
there any shared sort of
mhm.
ancestries or shared cultural aesthetics that you might notice between those two?
Oh, absolutely. So the languages are actually quite similar, and they're common words. It's pronounced in the same way, and historically, it's thought that the canoes originated when they came through the Pacific, originated from Hawaii. Uh, so I have an interesting family background. So when my parents fostered six Māori children when I was growing up, when I was five. So we went from a family of four, my sister and myself, she's 4 years younger than me, to a family of 10. And they took on looking after a family of, they're all brothers and sisters, they were siblings. And so I had an interesting uh, um, uh, childhood growing up in this is arguably kind of multicultural family. So I have six Māori brothers and sisters. And I also composed an opera about Captain Cook. It was one of my first big commissions. And we took Anne Salmon's book called The Trial of the Cannibal Dog, which is a famous history of the meeting of Pacifica peoples with the Cook crew. And after we performed it at the New Zealand International Festival, which was sung in Tahitian and Māori and English, we took a group to Hawaii to meet with tribal elders and to meet with people at the University of Hawaii. We were looking to develop it further, and so very, very, very much a similar culture and related, but over great number of years. Yeah. So it's a great question. Yeah, but the language is when I hear Hawaiian, I recognize words, so it's similar.
Oh, very interesting. Okay,
Mhm.
Mark. Mark, thank you for reiterating your question. How far in advance um, uh, does someone need to make hotel reservations? Um, in terms of traveling, if they're traveling independently. And Mark's just noting that it doesn't tie into the sale of our organized tour to ask this question, but this presentation is really a presentation about learning about sites and locations around New Zealand. It's not really a presentation meant to help people specifically plan their own travel because Matthew was not a travel planning expert for New Zealand. So I don't know, Matthew, if you can even touch on that
Oh,
question,
yeah.
but certainly we can connect you with people who help with travel planning, Mark. Thanks.
Yeah, I mean, just quickly say that the time of year depend is has an effect. So going back for the end of the year for Christmas, and there are vast numbers of New Zealanders who live in Britain and Australia, so there's this great influx of people going back. So booking ahead would be a good thing. There are a lot of Airbnbs in New Zealand, a lot of really good ones. That's another option for sure. And yeah, I mean, hospitality is something that New Zealanders really take a lot of pride in and love to help people. So yeah, hopefully that's
Okay.
helpful.
Yeah, so and certainly again, that's a question that we can take in our office if you want
Mhm.
more information. We can point you in the right direction of people who can help with travel planning. But
Mm,
it's, this presentation is really more about the highlights of the program that we're offering and hoping that people can learn from that and also hear from
mhm.
you, Matthew, about your perspectives and on the culture and history and heritage and so forth. To that point, Jed has asked an interesting question. How has Jacinda Ardern's tenure contributed to New Zealand's harmony with the myriad cultures?
Mm. Well, she's someone who has a remarkable ability to empathize with people. And this is completely innate thing. So she's from my hometown. She went to school, she went to university at Waikato University. My mother was the registrar of the law school there for many years. And I'd heard about her. I went to Auckland University, but I remember reading about her as a student. And I thought she should be prime minister. So, absolutely a leader from a very young age. She was the class day speaker at Yale this past graduation. It was really kind of a important moment for me, and she was very much herself. I think also the horrible Christchurch massacres a number of years ago, and the way that she was able to bring people together in this moment of tragedy, and how she did that. She just has a remarkable ability to be able to say the right thing at the right time, and but she's not this isn't because of her. This is as I mentioned that the honoring of the Treaty of Waitangi, which was from 1840, wasn't really ratified until through to the 80s and 90s. That process of bringing people together and addressing issues had a remarkable effect. And I think just because it is a relatively small country, and the way in which the languages are kind of intertwined, and the relationship that certainly the Māori have with land and sea is something that's a value of Pakeha as well. So these are shared values. Yeah.
Okay, and for those who are interested, I linked the former Prime Minister's just the name of her book in the chat in
Mhm.
case you want to read her memoir. So thank you for that question. Michael asks, I believe the question is there a trans-alpine train?
Oh, not no, I don't think so. Quite, there are certain train lines. Um, let me. Um, no. Yeah, there was a really. Maybe I'm wrong. Actually, if you look on
Oh,
the 100%,
Ernie is answering, saying yes, there is a
there
trans.
is. Yeah, there is
Okay.
actually. Yeah, yeah,
Thank you, Ernie. It's always great to do these presentations because we have
yeah,
so many different kinds of experts in our Yale alumni community. So
yeah.
collectively, we can answer any question that
Yes.
anyone can throw
Yeah,
out.
if you go to the 100% pure New Zealand website, there is actually a whole thing here on train travel. Yeah.
Thank you. All right. Well, we're approaching the end of our presentation, and this has been so wonderful, Matthew. And I thought I would just offer you the last word by saying, I know you've thought some about the lectures that you plan to give on the program, and I wonder if you could give us a little teaser of what kinds of topics you're thinking about for your lectures.
Sure. Well, New Zealand has this outsized cultural influence through literature and film and music. So I want to talk about. I will give a presentation around the culture in terms of this creativity that we have. It's also but just to give this is a kind of a funny story, but the Oscar-winning filmmaker Jane Campion, who made The Piano and etc. and lots of wonderful films. She was my babysitter when I was a baby. Zero
Wow.
degrees of separation. Her parents were friends with my grandparents. So it was an interesting little connection there. So I'd love to talk about the literature and art making and the cross-cultural currents there and this relationship with the land, I think is a really important one. And then so this new project that I have at Yale, which is funded through Yale Planetary Solutions, looking at translating data from nature into music. So I'd like to take the opportunity to talk about some of the conservation efforts, talk potentially, possibly about this project, and how a country like New Zealand would make something like this really fly. So those are the two talks that I'm thinking of that I will present to you. Yeah.
Excellent. Well, thank you so much. And as I mentioned, Matthew Suttor has given another talk that is called Building Student Advocacy, and it's very much about the work that he's doing at Yale. So I encourage you we've posted the link for that in the chat, and I encourage you to take a look at that if you want to see another great presentation. And for those who are interested in the travel program and you have more questions, please do feel free to email us at alumniacademy.yale.edu. We'll actually be back here with another lecture tomorrow on a very, very different topic. We'll be looking at global supply chains and risks with Professor Sang Kim from the Yale School of Management. So if you're around tomorrow at around 4 o'clock, I encourage you, 4 o'clock Eastern, to tune in if you're interested in that topic. And I thank you so much for joining us today. And thank you, Matthew, for a wonderful presentation. This has been great for us to sort of travel with you by armchair and learn about both your family history and your love for the country and the things that one might see and do on a learning adventure in New Zealand. And thank you for taking time out to tune in to come in and do this for us from your trip to South Africa. It's very, very generous of you.
Oh, sure. Yes, it's nearly 12 in the morning for me now. So speaking of jet lag, I've been training for. Yeah, this has been a pleasure, and it's lovely to see some names that I recognized. And yes, and if you have any questions, you're always welcome to email me too. That's also possible. Yeah.
All
Yeah.
right. Thank you,
Okay.
everyone.
Thanks, Lauren.
Bye-bye.
Good night.